Gospel according to John, the 2nd chapter.
Glory to you, Lord.
On the 3rd day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine gave out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what concern is that to you and to me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now standing there were 6 stone water jars for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the chief steward." So they took it. When the steward tasted the water that had become wine, and did not know where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the steward called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and then the inferior wine after the guests have become drunk. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this, the first of his signs, in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
You may be seated. Grace and peace from God our Father and our Lord and Savior Jesus the Christ. Anyone who's been involved in very many weddings knows that there's always something that doesn't go according to plan. It might be something humorous, like when my sister-in-law got the giggles during her vows. Or it might be something not so humorous, like a friend's daughter's wedding where the storm had come through and took out power for most of the storm, so there were no lights or heat in the church in December. In our gospel reading this morning, we hear about one of these wedding mishaps. In the midst of what was a probably multi-day feast, the wine has run out. This would not only have been embarrassing for the family hosting the celebration, but given the honor-shame culture of the 1st century, the family would probably have been viewed as at least negligent in their planning, if not downright miserly, for not having enough libation to properly celebrate with and honor their guests. According to John's Gospel, this is the first miracle that Jesus performs, and as such, it sets the stage for Jesus' entire ministry. And there are many elements of that ministry that are already evident in this first miracle, elements that can still carry meaning for our lives today. First, there's the venue of the miracle, a wedding. Jesus is close enough to the family and community to have been invited, and by his attendance we see that he is willing to participate in the life of the community. And he's not just at the ceremony, but at the celebration feast that follows as well. Jesus obviously appreciates and participates in the joyous occasions of life. To the extent we model our lives on that of Jesus, then we too should participate fully in our community and in such joyous events. Then there's how Jesus heard about the problem at the wedding. It was his mother who came to him. As would happen over and over again in Jesus' ministry, people came to him with their problems or the problems of others. Jesus did not have to go looking for those in need. People just had faith that he could help them out. And his mother was but the first in a long line of people to exhibit that faith. We continue that line of faithful people when we bring our cares and concerns to God in prayer, both concerns for ourselves and for that of others. And then there's what Jesus uses to accomplish this first miracle. Simple, everyday things, water and stone water. His later healings would use such everyday things as mud, spit, fish, bread. Jesus also uses other people to help with this first miracle. There are the servants who had to carry all those gallons of water to fill the jars. It's not much different today. There may be many people involved in the miracles that take place in our lives, so much so that we may forget that it is indeed a miracle that has occurred. The miracles of modern medicine especially come to mind. Though these are all brought to us by human hands, their miraculous nature is no less present. Finally, there's how few people and which people knew about wasn't the bride and groom. It wasn't the host. It wasn't even the wine steward. Instead, it was the lowly servants alone, along with the disciples and Mary, who knew about the miracle. This will certainly not be the last time Jesus works his miracle among the common people, or even the outcasts of society. Not only will this be and this will not be the only time Jesus tries to at least keep the news of his miracles limited to those that it directly affects. Now, in walking through this miracle story, I skipped one of the key steps. I saved it for last because I think it's the most important part of this story. After Jesus' mother tells him about the lack of wine, she says to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." That is probably the most important lesson we should take from this story. Do whatever he tells you. Like Jesus' mother, I can't presume to know what that might be. For each of you, it will be different. What I can tell you is that God is asking you to do things. And as stated in our second lesson, he has given you the gifts necessary to accomplish whatever that may be. Each of us has different gifts, and we are each placed in different settings in which to use those gifts. It may not always be clear what the end result is supposed to be. It reminds me of the story of a man who was told by God to push against a large boulder. And so he spent every day, all day, pushing against the boulder, but the boulder never moved. After years of this, he became discouraged and complained to God about this impossible task he'd been given. God told him that his instruction was not to move the boulder, but to push against it. Doing so had made the man strong, and becoming stronger had been God's intent, not moving the boulder. Often we try to second guess what God has in mind, and sometimes we guess wrong. At other times, all we are asked to do is a small part of a process. Like the servants who were told to fill the stone jars with water. They weren't told what was going to happen next, or how what they were going to do was going to be important. And yet they followed their instructions, and what they did made a difference. Each of you can make a difference as well, though you may not always realize it. Or you may think that the small piece you can do is so insignificant. But combined with the efforts of others, it can make a big difference. Finally, what we do may not always be about helping the poor or underprivileged. Jesus' first miracle wasn't. It was about helping people where their need was. In this case, that meant more wine for the wedding, and good wine at that. Whatever God is calling you to do, wherever you may be in your life, follow Jesus' mother's advice. Do whatever he tells you. No matter how small the task may seem, your efforts matter. No matter how large the task, God will give you the gifts you need to accomplish it. I invite you to stand as you are able for our hymn of the day.